Does the microphone work?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, I'm Ariel Lanyi. I come originally from Israel, but I currently live in London. My relationship with the Miami International Piano Festival goes back a couple of years. It was the first place where I got to play in the United States, and I was extremely honored to be invited to such a prestigious festival. It's actually a series I have known about since I was very young, and I've seen videos of so many great pianists playing there, and I was beyond honored to join that list. Ever since I came for the first time, Giselle and I have developed quite a close relationship, and I'm so glad to come to the Miami International Piano Festival, whether in Florida or in Italy, to continue this relationship with this family of great artists. I would describe the Miami International Piano Festival as a place where music truly matters and where you can have a feeling of integrity which you often feel is missing in the so-called industry. And you feel like you're in a community of people who truly care about what you have to say as an artist and what you have to say about the music you're presenting. Giselle Brodsky is a person of truly indomitable energy who honestly cares about music and who has a really rare sense of integrity, and that's something I appreciate more than I can try to describe in words. I've known Yuval Cohen since I was a pre-teenager. We shared the same teacher, Lea Agmon. And I worked with him intensively from about the age of 13 till about the age of 17 when I left Israel and I moved to London. Yuval has a pair of ears which you won't find anywhere else. He has the ability to dissect a musical score and find the smallest details which you would think are insignificant and show you why they are so significant. He really has a way of thinking about music in a holistic and organic way, where the intellectual and emotional aspects don't contradict each other, but rather they walk hand in hand, where your idea of a performance is not compromised by instrumental limitations or capabilities. With Yuval, it all makes perfect sense, and that is something which is so rare to find. I have been playing for him since I've moved to London, and every time it's a revelation to play for him and to have that specific pair of ears listen to what I do. After I played for the first time in Miami, Giselle wanted to know who my teacher is, or more accurately, who my teacher was in the formative years of my musical education before I moved to London. Then I told her about Yuval Cohen and his approach to music and his philosophy, if you will. And I think she was convinced by it, and she wanted to hear more. So I recorded the last movement of Beethoven's A major sonata, opus 2 number 2. This sonata is the second of the first three he wrote, which he dedicated to Haydn, with whom he had quite a fraught relationship, but to whom he owed a great deal. This movement is marked grazioso, so it's technically not even a fast movement, and it is the first of a number of grazioso last movements which he wrote for the piano. We hear a combination of unique lyricism and even a bit of nostalgia, which in this movement gets contrasted with a fiery and implacable middle section. But what Beethoven does at the end of this movement is truly remarkable. He comes back to the middle section, but resolves it in a very unique way, in that the music of grace subsumes the music of conflict. And that is something extremely special, because he kept this idea with him in the late works too. And if we look at the very end of the Missa Solemnis, I wouldn't say he does the same thing there that he does in Opus 2 number 2, but there we also hear the trumpets of war. But the last time they appear, they get subsumed by the word peace, pacem. I wouldn't venture to say that Beethoven had this A major sonata in mind when he wrote the Missa Solemnis, but I think we can sense some ideas in common between these two pieces, and that I find extremely moving and extremely special. When preparing a piece, I try to have an idea of what I want to do in every bar of the work before I begin physically learning it at the piano. Now, of course, once you begin learning it, all of these ideas change and you learn many things about the pieces you're playing, and your concept of the work gets transformed and should get transformed throughout your career, throughout your life. But I think if you know what you want to do in every bar of a piece you are going to play, a piece you're planning to play, then you have a good basis from which you can build an interpretation. And that is a principle I try to stick to. Sometimes I think about works for 1 or 2 years before I start physically learning them, and that gives me a sense of direction, which guides me in the process of learning a piece when I change most of the initial ideas I had about it. Music is essentially a language which shares many things in common with spoken languages, but which expresses things which spoken languages cannot express, and maybe should not express. Well, the piano is a piece of wood. For me, the piano is a hybrid instrument. It's an instrument which can embody an infinite number of things, and it's an instrument which, because we only control the sound essentially when we hit the key and when we release it, but not in between. It's an instrument which requires us to practice the art of make-believe, which can take us a very, very long way in imitating the orchestra and imitating the human voice and imitating a whole bunch of other things. So maybe the piano is what we decide to make it into. As an artist, I try my best to convey my thoughts and feelings about the composers and the works which mean a great deal to me on a personal level.
this was the last question, but we have a surprise.
Aha, an encore. Oh! It looks like a cake. Wow, thank you. That was fun.